Okay, so we're going to run the report this time though for the Flicking Foundation, which is the donkey sanctuary in the UK. And we're going to do it again over the usability and performance section. Now, for this, they're not rating that well on either of those. So we'll get a better understanding of what elements can help with, basically give you a bad score, and actually you could identify quite easily what to improve. So let's go forward. The Flickr Foundation. Come on, let's press that big audit button. Overall, their score's not that great. It's a charity site and it's a smaller one. So honestly, I expect the overall score not to be great because these are typically people that don't have the full-time tech resources or marketing resources or people on hand to make these improvements. So, if you ever feel like a good deed, feel free to do it for them, especially if you want some practice. I'm more than happy to be an extra ear when it comes to charities, but this is more if it's like a free service. I don't really kind of want to give options for payment. It sounds bad, but I think we need to give back as a society. Right, under the section usability and performance, we'd already gone through on-page SEO and our links. So if you remember links, probably they really need a bit more of a marketing lens to consider what partnerships they might need to identify to improve those links, to create like a partnership of communicating and talking about articles with another charity maybe. Okay, so we're going to go onto, I digress again, onto usability and performance. Talk to yourself while we go through this bit. I have a bit of elevator kind of noise going in my head when I wait for these to go through. Okay, come on, usability. Feels like it's the longest report when you go through this. Okay, links, now usability. Again, SEO Optima for me is just one of the easiest tools to use. There are other ones out there, and feel free to ask me questions on them, but they get a lot more complicated and look a lot more techy. Right, usability is a C. Typically, 9 times out of 10, it's always whether it renders well on other devices. So whether it renders well on mobile or tablet devices, and a lot of the traffic is starting now on mobiles, especially on search. And as you can see, the representation on the image is definitely cut off. So the Flickr accredited, see, you don't have the full title, the Flickr Foundation. Same with that on a tablet device. Now, again, as we do with the other site I recommended in the other course section, just make sure that you do test with other people in terms of their devices and seeing how it renders in a real world scenario is my best advice on this. But you can probably tell it's not great. So check it out on your mobile and check it with some other people. Right. They're not doing too bad on some of the Google Vitals here. They are, where it says viewpoints, they are putting in the ability for elements to render correctly on different devices, or identification of those different devices to supposedly render correctly. However, I've got a feeling this site might have been designed a while back because none of this is optimized for mobile view. And that definitely could be the case, especially with a smaller charity. I also, when I look at things in the performance, might say it might be better actually building this site in another environment. And that doesn't mean you have to start from scratch, but I might try a newer hosting environment because it might put a lot of the stuff that they're having issues with regards to performance and fix them automatically with the new technology. Right. Google page speed insights now, it's got a low score of 20. Again, all pretty techy. If you wanted to, you could enter the information into the page speed, and it's even more techier. So you can have a look if you want. Let's go and see. And it's even more techier when it analyzes bits. But if you were talking to a technical person, so this is the mobile site, as you can see, it goes down and gives scores area and gives information. You can click on the different areas and what they think. This is worthwhile for a techie to look at because they then can go, this could potentially be improved here. I had a quick check earlier and I've got a feeling it's their images they need to improve things on. But let me go through this report again. Well, that's thinking, and I might show it to you quickly. But as you can see, this is just the time and savings that they, estimated savings they think of what they can improve, and these are times and values currently now. Right, Google Page Speed Insights, this is for desktop. Again, they've not got a great score. Again, you'd want to take you to look at all these different things and what they could be improved. Flash, they're not using it. That's out of date information, so that's great. Iframes, they are, and when you click on these different things, there's always additional information given to you throughout the report. So just run it and have a look. Remember, when you have a free version, you can only run one a day. But then again, you could just wait for the next day and run it on another site. So iframe is basically out-of-date tech, right? It's what we used to use a while back when we wanted a window to display within a window. So when you ever see a YouTube video on someone's website page, which isn't YouTube, so say if it was the Donkey Sanctuary and they have a YouTube video playing of the donkeys in the field, but it's actually on their website, they could have used an old school iframe to do that. But now there's new technology to enable them to use different, more up-to-date coding standards. So that would need to be changed. And the reason why iframes are not good is one, Google can't actually search them that well. So when it doesn't help for your SEO because it can't search in there and understand what's going on. But another primary thing, which Google ranks you on, which is your usability on mobiles. They kind of reward you a lot now because everyone searches via mobile first. Everyone uses their mobile to look for everything. Iframes don't display correctly on it. So that's maybe what's going on the front page. I don't know. You'd have to look at their text and see maybe this is an iframe and that's why it's not displaying properly. Might not be as well, but we don't know. Okay, so those are the bits we look with a techie, I guess. And favcon, this is this nice little image. So they're using it in their site. Email privacy, that means that they basically don't have a form when you enter in your email address that is plain text. It's all protected. So naughty people like scrapers can't go and get it and reuse those lists on like a black market or something. So never buy lists is my top tip because you never know what you get. And because of things like GDPR rules, you can get fined quite heavily. Right. Legible font sizes. This just means, is it easy for fonts to be able to be seen? Or are they too small? And then when you tap on the more information, you get to see font sizes it doesn't like or why it doesn't like it. So that says social feed, post footer, 10-point size is not too bad. It's smaller than your 12-point font. This isn't too bad. I doubt if you change this, it'll make a significant impact on your SEO. And because it just says blank object, it's probably using things on things like a footer that you don't want primary real estate anyway on your web page. But you could have a look. Then tap targeting size. This just means does the images and the spacing look good and change based on if it was a mobile device, an iPad, where you touch the screen. So is it spaced out enough so you can touch the representative button that you need? And they're getting big tick for that. And that's because a lot of systems do it automatically for you as well. Performance results. I'm going to go into this as well because a lot of this can be connected. And again, they've got a bad score, a D+, so they definitely can have some improvements. This again might indicate to me as they've got such a bad kind of mobile view that they need to recreate their pages again on their website in a different hosting environment or hosting tool to enable all the automatic optimization to happen for them so that without little effort. So there'll be a migration effort, yes, but then you should automatically update the new coding standards. Right, so I digress a bit. This is a little bit iffy, but again, it's all techie. So the timer server, wherever this is hosted, responds. The page content loading, so that's under 5 seconds. That's good. Mind you want that a bit lower. 2.7 is still a bit high, actually. And 8.3 seconds here, all page scripts loaded. This is all the stuff happening in the background, and it might not be needed, and it visually might not be seen by the person seeing your page, but there probably could be some improvements there, even though it's green. Download page size. This is basically, think about how long it takes a page to fully download to a person's website. And this isn't good in terms of the sizing and everything like that, because if it's a big size, it will take a long while for that to download. So they'd want to look at that. And there's loads of different ways, and your techies would need to look at that and how to optimize that site. Again, a new hosting environment and different plugins and tools might enable that to happen a bit easier. So you don't have to spend loads of money with a techie person. Little tips and tricks, things like changing your hosting environment. If you're on WordPress, like WP Rocket's really good. Does all the stuff behind in the background that you don't need the techie person to do it, and you get immediate performance results. But hosting environment could be a thing as well, which I'll talk about in a minute. But where you see they've got a higher page size, so 7 megabytes. And this is all purple. There's 5 megabytes of that as images. So I'd be going, hang on, what's happening with your images? Are you optimizing them before you upload? Which means, are you making them the smallest size possible, but still easily viewable via a website? And it only says 1% compressed. Now, you don't 100% know if that's true because they might compress it and then you've gone online or that. So that would be something to look at, especially as it's such a big factor of the page. Another thing I'd want to look at is my JavaScript. It says 73% compressed, but it's saying that a huge amount of the pages are JavaScript. Now, JavaScript is a techie way of basically doing a bit of code on a page. So maybe there is a better way of structuring this. Again, I'm starting to lean to maybe I'll put it in a different hosting environment so I don't have to pick all my pages apart, but I'll just get better performance via a different hosting environment and maybe a different web content management tool. Don't need to know too much about these things, but it's just telling you how many resources there are. And where it said there was JavaScript, there are a large amount of resources, which might mean there's some simplification that can happen here, right? Maybe there's some out-of-date code, it's not needed. Maybe there's some archive pages where this doesn't need to load for everything now. A techie would know more. Right. Google Accelerated Mobile Pages. This is just for something where it's specifically for a mobile site. I haven't seen a lot of improvements with the overall holistic website. And plus, I don't particularly like it that much because it can change my layout, my style. However, it depends on what you want to do and if it's worthwhile or not for the websites. So if you don't mind a less sophisticated layout and you just want a box standard kind of, boxy and form-looking type pages, I'm probably not doing it very much justice, but that's how I found it, then this is worthwhile. And especially worthwhile for everything has to be done on mobile. But just think of the user experiences sometimes as much as your style that you want to interject. So think of the trade-offs. I haven't seen a significant improvement in this yet, and I'd probably look at trying to improve my performance in other ways for the mobile pages. This was introduced a while back, actually, so I've got a feeling it'll start to get phased out because there are technologies that replace things now. JavaScript errors, there isn't any. This is the bit that I think that probably I would change if I'm them. HTTP2 protocol, so Hypertext Transfer Protocol, blah, 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 2, version 2, means that there's now a smarter way for your hosting environments to host your pages, basically. And older school ones, well, not older, currently relevant, some current hosting providers, I think iPage, GoDaddy, even, I'm not 100% sure, don't use HTTP2. Yet, this enables better performance improvements. So there are other hosting performers like SiteGround that do use this protocol. It's more up to date and enables a better way for your page to get loaded faster. So if I was this charity, and I know that they've got, and there are other ones out there that aren't just SiteGround, by the way, I would probably say, hey, let's change hosting provider. That's quite a little effort. You can get really low cheap costs. I think SiteGround offers like $2 a month or euros a month. And it can actually help them with their page speed performance significantly quickly and get them up the rankings without having to do all those technical jargon looking at the pages. So that's probably would be my number one priority for them. Optimizing images is actually something they are. So maybe there isn't a problem yet. You can get different styles of images. You've got JPEGs, you've got PNGs, and there's this other style, I think it's called Web Type 1, WebP. It's a new protocol, but not all browsers are compatible with it. And I would watch that, and I would watch sometimes two newer protocols when it requires your user to have that browser. And I say this especially for charities. I don't mean to group them. I do quite a lot of charities and on some board of sounds. They sometimes can have a more older demographic in some of their websites. And that's how a lot of their websites are still designed visually for that older demographic rather than a newer demographic or younger generation, shall I say. That being the case, they're not always going to be pressing browser updates to get the latest version. So anything that's dependent on the customer side, so the customer viewing, be mindful of who they are and what they typically would do before you put anything new in, like potential different image types that require the most latest browsers. Okay, I keep digressing, don't I? Minification, this just means, are you streamlining the different codes, so your JavaScript and your cascading style sheets, to be optimal as possible? But also as well, have you applied a tool called minification, which is like part of a protocol that some of your hosting environments do it for you automatically. Or you can get plugins or tools to do that. So like gone are the days where we have to sit down with a techie and figure out every line and get them to optimize it, because there's new services out there all the time that will do it naturally for us. And even though I come from an old school techie that used to be able to write everything down code by code, it's just a waste of time and money and energy, in my opinion, because there's too many other new plugins out there, too many new hosting environments. I wouldn't do that. Unless I had the most premium website with the highest amount of traffic, I could never let it go down. It's fundamental, it stays up 110%. Yes, then I'll play all the coders in the world to make sure it's the most optimal, and I can tweak to the 110th degree, but not when it comes to someone's standard website. And, you know, I've worked on websites that do have those hundreds of thousands of views and millions, and sometimes, and I still wouldn't go there. Hey, but, you know, I think, but then I'd pay for the right hosting environment, shall I say. Other hosting options, you can get expandable with things like AWS, so Amazon Web Services, but you have to pay for it a little bit. And it just depends, say, for this case, whether the charity would have the money. I wouldn't suggest it. I would suggest a hosting provider that had the HTTP2 protocols to that one. Depreciate HTML. This is an indicator again that I think their website's a bit old, because they're using old school HTML, inline styles. This means that they've gone into the web page and they've changed the color of text or a particular word or something like that, instead of letting the cascading style sheets do their job. Cascading style sheets are a bit like a global brand guideline. And if you clicked here, you can see on which ones it happened. It's not giving you a lot of information, but this is an indicator. If it's this kind of uncommented lack of information, it might have been designed a while back, because I'm not sure what is going on in this page. I'd want to investigate a little bit, probably to do my own quality assurance. Don't know the words, nearly there. Okay, so I think we're done on this one. They definitely have some improvements to make, and I personally think that hosting will be their big one to improve their performance rating here, but also potentially their usability, if they also consider maybe what content management system they're on, because these kind of things shouldn't really happen, and you would want things to be a bit better. But I put them into a new hosting environment, and then see what I do about my web content management system. Okay, that's for this one, the Donkey Sanctuary, and then we'll be going on to the socials areas in our next course.